Hello, I'm Emily Bosson. Welcome to The Form, your fast-paced preview show with some of the best tipsters in the business. Speaking of those tipsters, I'm joined this morning by Aidan Rodley, Brendan Popplewell and Bevan Sweeney. And we're going to get into things on a really busy show as we preview the weekend's action. Let's have a little look at what is on the rundown today. We've got the listed rider stakes to go through, our black bookers, the preview of the Taumarunui Cup. We also debate in the inquiry room who will win 2-year-old of the year. We look at the Otaki Opens, the Tarzino Trophy, the Te Rapa Open Sprint, and rounding things out with our best bets. Well, our first preview of the morning is the listed courtesy Ford rider stakes for the 2-year-olds over the 1,200 metres, and I need Bevan Sweeney and Aidan Rodley for this one as we look at the field. And Bevan, we'll start with you. Katsa Charma, very, very tough last time when remaining unbeaten.
Yeah, absolutely, Emily. The debut performance was a cakewalk at Otaki. I think that's a big point of difference for it. And the run at Te Rapa was outstanding because headed at the top of the straight. But gee, it was tough. Under a strong ride by Danielle Johnson, came back underneath the leader, and that was Burgundy Dancer. There's 4 horses out of this race going into this year's rider, and there wasn't a lot across them. So you have to pick your spot whether there is any value around Katsa Charma. There's value in the pedigree going forward for sure, because this horse will continue to win some nice races. Here's the replay of the run at Te Rapa. In front at this stage, Burgundy Dancer goes up outside it, and you think, well, it's beaten. Not this little horse. These are the traits that you'll find from Alex Sharrock runners. They do not sit down on their efforts, kick back the inside. Does this take the edge off the horse? It was such a tough run. Not out of this barn, they just continue to train on. So it was a really good effort going forward into the rider. Ellen also has Yearboy, who's raw but full of potential, a bit of a bully, and he was very good to win last time. But from an inside draw at Otaki, having won its debut here on a heavy 11 track condition, it should find the front, and it'll be hard to catch on that little tight corner there at Otaki.
Yeah, love it, Bevan. Thanks very much for that. Aidan, we'll get to you. It's not just about Katsa Charma, is it? Alan Sharrock with a strong hand. Yeah, boy, competitive too.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a chance to have a talk to Alan about them yesterday. He said it's uncommon to see 2-year-olds doing what Katsa Charma did, just to so that tenacity to come back and beat. Obviously, Treasure State ran third in that race and came out on one really impressively at Te Rapa last week. But we're focusing in on this horse now, Yearboy, who's my top selection in the race. A horse who had been to the trials a couple of times before this, won them both really impressively. And here's a debut from a horse who, as Bevan said, is raw, but is on the way up. And I think the thing about this was that the horse got it all wrong at the start, got into a bad position, was able to get home really strongly. So I think there's further improvement. Hazel Chauffeur, who knows this horse so well, is sticking with Yearboy. So Yearboy for me, guys.
It's now time to get into our black bookers. So get your pens out and get ready to note down these horses that have caught our eye during the week. We'll go through everyone and we'll kick things off with Brendan. Brendan, what caught your eye?
Didn't mind a horse, Emily, from Hawke's Bay last Thursday by the name of Rose Crescent. This is a filly that is raced by Ken and Bev Kelso. Looked very good through the trials, and race day experience is going to be a big help for this runner. It was amongst horses, got to the outside of runners, got a bit boundy in her action, but she was pretty good to the line at the same time. She's worked home in good figures. It just could be a horse to really look out for in the early part of the spring. I just like what she's done here in the concluding stages to finish into third equal. So one to note down and a horse to follow coming up into the new season, Rose Crescent.
I'm going to take you to Ashburton, and this from earlier on this month, Foss, who I think has been one of the most impressive maiden winners in the South that I've seen in recent times. It's in the Andrew Carston colours there, just coming 3 wide into the straight under Cosy Asano. And once Cosy lets this horse down, he simply strides away from what wasn't too bad a field here at Ashburton. Wins by 6.5 lengths to the clock, very, very good. Not only in the context of this race, but in the context of the day. It was deteriorating conditions, and the Winter Cup trial was race 7, whether this was race 2. But Foss has run a second faster than Beauty Star, who will be a late nomination for the Winter Cup next week as well. So you're seeing that that's just a really impressive way of clearing maidens. Will be a rating 65 winner at very short notice.
I'm going to take you back to early July in a race out of Awapuni, good strong 3-year-old, where I think the first 5 home here are all winning chances at their next start if they do not line up against each other. These 2 beats out wide. You've got You Called at the inside, Invisible Spirit, which will be a winner this afternoon as we record this morning, and Black Forest, who trot up nicely on Tuesday, also Kingfisher Lad, I think, going nicely. So Sir Beats down the outside. He's a horse that loves wet ground. If you see him down at Riccarton over the 1600 metres on the big open track, I think you'll get a return on Sir Beats for Lisa Ladder.
And I went with Ladies Man, a horse I saw racing on Saturday at New Plymouth. Was really impressive, getting home strongly into that second spot. You can see it just highlighted here, was held up for ground, came from a long way back and was able to charge late into that second spot. Was a winner of a maiden prior to that over the 1400 metres. And I do think with a little bit of time up its sleeve and perhaps a little bit more distance is going to be a good horse to follow. Not only that, being by Z, they always take time to mature. And on a day when it was very hard to make up ground, this horse did it impressively. Let's have a recap of those black bookers here on the form. Aidan Rodley, Bevan, Sweeney, Brendan and myself have written down a horse to follow over the coming weeks. We hope that you've got the pen out and got those noted down, tab.co.nz, to find out when those horses are running. Our next preview is the Taumarunui RSA Gold Cup, an open handicap over the 2200 metres, and I'm calling on the expertise of Brendan Popplewell and Aidan Rodley for this one. Brendan, we'll start with you. You're pretty keen on a horse by the name of Divine Duke.
Yeah, look, he's been a revelation this winter, hasn't he, Divine Duke? He's a horse that finds himself in a good place at the weights. He was at the top of the handicap last time out in a rating 74. You only have to go back 2 starts ago when he was able to beat El Nymph in the Kiwi Fruit Cup. And he just sits in a better place in the weights as opposed to last time when both he and El Nymph met at Te Rapa. Let's take a look at the effort here when winning in the Kiwi Fruit Cup. It was a very good ride by Joe Cameroon because he stayed closer to the rail, and that was the key to victory in this race because we saw that lane being a very hot lane on this occasion out of Tauranga. He was able to save ground, get him behind that runner in the grey, and then do its best work at the end of the race and put them away. He loves wet, sloppy, heavy ground. That's what he needs on the weekend, and he should be able to get those conditions to suit. And with that difference in the weight swing here, of course, it was 5.5 kilos between both he and El Nymph when last presented at Te Rapa in a 74. He sits in a better place at the weights today with just half a kilo difference, and that really can make the difference, I think, for this weekend.
Yeah, thanks for that, BP. Aidan, to you, are you with Brendan or going with something else in this one?
No, I'm with Brendan. I'm big on the weight swings, and yes, there's a 3 kilogram swing towards Divine Duke after chasing home El Nymph last time out. But as Brendan showed in that video on the Kiwi Fruit Cup, he had El Nymph's measure prior. If there was something that would bring El Nymph back into it, then maybe it's just the nuances of Arawa Park. And it's a track that Divine Duke has been 5 times previously and yet to winning. He is a horse who's probably going to get a fair way off them here, so he's going to have to make a decent run. If they've hit that outside hedge before he does, then that might be a problem. But he's going well, and no, I'm not going to oppose BP on this.
Into the inquiry room for this next segment where we discuss who is going to be 2-year-old of the year. There's some top contenders, Sort of State, of course, and On the Bubbles, both of them having won a Group 1 this season. We'll head to you, Aidan Rodley, to get your thoughts, and you're in Sort of State camp.
I really am. I think they had 2 meetings and they were both very strong wins to Sort of State. This time in the Group 3 Matamata slipper, the Waikato Stud slipper, 6.5 lengths between Sort of State and On the Bubbles this day, and then they went to Ellerslie and clashed in the Sistema Stakes, and again it was a hollow 3.5 length win to Sort of State. So 2 meetings, 2 wide margin wins and 2 feature races. Now that is good enough. Now from Australia, the Racing and Sports handicapper there, the chief handicapper, is a guy called Adam Blenko. So he does all the numbers. He does the numbers for time form, and obviously he puts a lot of effort into it, more than what we do. He says this is an equal best 2-year-old to come out of New Zealand in the last 15 years, equal with Rude Awakening, and better than Probabile, Avantage, Melody Bell, and Sacred Elixir. Bevan, I think you've got a hard task sort of giving your point here, arguing the point of On the Bubbles.
I'm a little bit confused from all those stats. Rod, look, it's an interesting discussion. The only way I can see Under Bubbles winning if people go and just look at the pure record, not at the races and not against who he's running against, because like any other season, he's Terror of the Year for sure with what he did this preparation, and he did longer preparation. Look, the Meta run, he was coming off the Karaka Million against Sort of State, so I could understand that performance, but defining effort from Sort of State in the Group 1. But he's second in the Group 1, he won the Manawatu Size Produce Stakes. He was the Karaka Million winner. He's a wonderful horse, but I think the defining factor is the performances against him. So I struggle to really make a case that on awards night that Sort of Staters are not going to win, but I know that On the Bubble syndicate will have just as much fun anyway.
Love it, Bevan. Well done you. And I know you're expecting a verdict from me, but aren't we lucky to have two such wonderful two-year-olds taking out the race? And what about Go the Girls? What about Bonnie Lass as well? Didn't she have a standout season too?
My life tells me that I'm lucky to have survived. I'm lucky in a lot of ways, and suddenly the luck has grown. My passion of racing has given me the thrill of a lifetime. I'm just a hobby trainer. Suddenly I'm there with a lot of professionals. Those Aussies are going to get a fright because I think this guy's not even professional. What's he doing here? But that's us and that's me, you know, and I won't change. I know it's big, and for racing people it's big, and there are people out there that would give anything to be in the Melbourne Cup. Man, it's just like stepping into the unknown. I can't wait.
Sums it up, doesn't it? So we can't wait either. It's that time of year when the anticipation starts to build as we count down to that first Group 1 of the season. And what a lineup we have to look forward to. Some of the stable stars stepping out, including Avantage, Catalyst, Aegon. What a lineup. Call Sign Mav, Amarilinia, Tavi, Matt, Coventina Bay, all to look forward to. Wanted to talk to the team about what they like with regards to the Tarzino Trophy and what they're keeping their eyes on. Brendan Popplewell, we'll start with you. And Dragon Leap is a horse you wanted to have a chat about today.
Yeah, certainly, Emily. And look, it's a horse that's taken my eye with that market also, with his opening price of $14, been cut in half to $7. He's a runner that we can easily almost forget about some of his performances because it's been so long since we've seen him back on the racetrack. There was a chance that we were going to see him through the Brisbane Carnival, and he travelled to Brisbane and actually didn't even have a start there in the end. So they pulled stumps on their preparation and decided to really set their sights towards the Hawke's Bay Carnival. So we will see him publicly next Tuesday at the trials at Ellerslie before going back to the trials at Te Rapa on the 17th, and then looking towards the Foxbridge Plate and then going into the Tarzino. He's a horse that I know that's really come up nicely for the team. They're really happy with his preparation, with where things are at right now. The key for him, I think, is maybe not having that wet surface. He's a runner that really needs that good ground to bounce off underneath. So with it being pushed out the carnival, of course, to that September date, that's going to be more suitable for him. He's a dangerous prospect. Of course, we've got a lot of horses that we know a lot more about, but he's just one of those horses that could be slightly off the radar, but maybe he's got himself on the radar with that early support in the market. I'm just keen to watch his progress as we get towards that Foxbridge.
Yeah, can't wait to see him stepping out. Aidan, we'll call on you at this point. And a star 3-year-old was Aegon. And of course, he's in that field for the Tarzino Trophy too.
Yep, we went and saw him this week as well. What a cool horse he is. He's a beauty, Aegon, and his win in the 2000 Guineas was stunning last year as well. His win in the Karaka Million, 3-year-old, enormous, and then his win in the Hobart Phil was just massive as well. He's currently at $5.50. Now, the thought was that he'd be joining Probably or heading towards the MZ Stakes, but obviously this whole COVID situation is throwing just all of that up in the air. And speaking to Murray Baker and Andrew Forsman on Tuesday morning, the suggestion is now that they've got to put the Tarzino back in the mix for Aegon as well. And if he's there, then he's got to be a contender. But as Brendan said, that's huge money on Dragon Leap 14s into 7s. And another one who's really catching the eye with the movement as well is Predefer 41 into 26. And I wouldn't be writing him off at a big price as well, Emily.
And Bevan, we'll finally get to you for your thoughts of the Tarzino Trophy. And Call Sign Mav was a horse that really stood out to me. His record last season was remarkable around some of the best horses in the business.
Indeed, Emily, but before we go there, I don't know how those two kept a straight face while they said, oh, it caught my eye that the prizes have halved, because you can be sure, people, that they're boots deep in Dragon Leap out of the Sullivan and Scott team. Come on, Willie Cassells, you come on down again this season. Now, look, there's two CD horses here that will be very competitive. Cool Sign Mav, we saw what he did last season. We're going to hopefully get up and catch him next week with John Barry and get an update on him. But certainly he proved himself to be right up to Group 1 level. He surprised us, certainly in that race. And probably late in the season, our minds were turned around how good he is, Cool Sign Mav. So he'll be very, very competitive, fresh up. And we see the great Frodo on Saturday out of Awapuni, and he'll be a big competitor at the sprint trip as well if there's a bit of cut out of the track. He's a good little horse who will put himself right in the mix. So I do think the CD will be strongly represented in the first leg of the Triple Crown, Emily. And you're getting $8 Cool Sign Mav, 9 Tavi Mac. I think their prices are appropriate when you see the possibilities that could line up this season.
Two open races to preview at Otaki next. The first of those that we look at is race 2 on the programme, the Levin Tab in Sports Bar, 1100 metre open handicap. Going to call on Aidan Rodley and Bevan Sweeney for this one. Bevan, have a little chat to me about London Express in this event.
Well, Tavi Mac's the obvious highlighter of this particular race as he trends towards Hastings. But look, London Express comes out of the strongest open 1400 metre race in the country in the winter track conditions, the Open Necky Cup last Saturday. And she's come from 3 back the fence to go a cracking race to be run down by the Winter Cup favourite. Just Ask Me out in the centre of the track in the Alan Sherrick colours. So her form is solid. She does have to come back to 1100 metres. I think Tavi Mac's a better sprinter for sure, but she's got runs in her legs. The 1100 metres Saturday will probably run more like the 1300 metres. She's a fit horse, getting 6 kilos off Tavi Mac. I just thought I'd make a case for the second of Alan Sherrick's runners because she is a very, very good mare and black type included in her pedigree page. But money does talk him, and Tavi Mac is closing very strongly in this particular market.
What about for you, Aidan? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I've just gone with Tavi Mac. I really acknowledge what Bevan's saying around London Express, and for her dropping 5 kilograms out of a really good run last week was good. But this is an afterthought. She wasn't even among the initial entries for this race. Tavi Mac is unbeaten in 3 starts fresh. He's won 10 of 16. He's just a winner. He's a Group 2 winner on top of the ground, wet ground. It just doesn't matter. And I just love seeing him race. Bailey Rogerson takes 4 off to 58. I know he's only a small horse, but it's not too much for him because he's just a star. And I think he'll be winning fresh up again. He'll make it 4 from 4 in a fresh state.
He's got quality on his side, hasn't he? Let's have a look at the 7th race on the card from Otaki, the Courtesy Ford Open Handicap over the 1600 metres. Mauna Kea is the horse we're highlighting in this one, Bevan.
Yeah, look, I found this a very difficult race to assess, and many of these horses have sort of faced each other in recent times. But I've landed on Mauna Kea. I thought you could have made a case for Happy Star, etc., and others in this particular race. But I went back to the black type mile here at Awapuni 2 starts ago for Mauna Kea. And look, I think this horse is getting back to somewhere near its best. And Boris, as he's called, if he can put up his best foot here on track conditions that should suit him, I think that really should play strongly into his hands in this race. 55.5 is a real pleasure for a horse like him. But you'll see him coming home late in this particular race. Belplaisir takes it out, and you see there the pink blinkers coming through the line and running through the line strongly. I found this a very difficult race, but I thought you were shopping a little bit of value around Mauna Kea in a race where Dolcetto has to carry 61, Gorbachev's fresh up, Collins Street with the blinkers on, a chance, and yes, Happy Star is a talented horse on a path to the Winter Cup. But I've landed on Mauna Kea. I think the draw by that time of the day will probably be advantageous as well.
Yeah, Happy Star did beat him home last time out in that race and behind Carpe Diem. Carpe Diem's in here again, but I just thought it was maybe circumstantial that day. Carpe Diem was off the front and just sort of got away with a soft lead and was able to outsprint them. But Happy Star will back up into the Winter Cup the following week at Riccarton. By all accounts, in prime order, the win 2 starts was excellent. I'd be surprised if he's not winning this one on Saturday, Emily.
Well, it's that time in the show when we recap everything and get the best bets from the boys. Let's have a little chat to Bevan first. Bevan, what is your best bet for this week?
I really like one in the first out of Otaki on Rider Day, Emily. It's a horse called Lucky Park, who's backing up from New Plymouth on Saturday. Ran second on that occasion to Zephyr Z, but a good little grey mare who I thought should have probably won at Waverley if just ridden a little bit more positively. They're a little bit more positive at New Plymouth, caught 3 wide in the trip and beaten by Zephyr Z by a length. I think as long as the quick backup doesn't knock this grey horse by Ocean Park, should go very close to winning the first on Saturday.
I've gone to Te Aroha on Sunday. I thought it was a really difficult weekend, but found one that I'm liking. A horse called Not a Bad Feeling, and we saw this horse winning on debut and did it really nicely. The second horse, the horse there in the Vance colours in the orange, is Bergamo Fox, who's gone on to win nicely at Avondale since. There was 3 1/4 lengths between them. There was 7.5 back to third. A horse who impressed on debut, and you're getting Ellen Nicholas's claim she's in good form. So not a bad feeling in the 5th race at Te Aroha on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to the same venue, in fact, on Sunday. I do like one there by the name of No Tip. Now, this horse ran 4th on Thursday, just gone on a flat race, a distance very short of its best. They were looking towards the Wellington Hurdles when held at Trentham. Didn't decide to line up in the Wellington Hurdles when pushed to Hawke's Bay. They went for the flat race instead and ran a really good race when finishing into 4th position. Of course, the horse was a faller at the first fence at Te Aroha, only 2 starts ago, but was a very convincing winner in a maiden steeplechase when Sean Phelan was aboard. Sean takes the ride on Sunday, like No Tip's chances to take out their steeplechase race out of Te Aroha, so I'll make that the best bet for the weekend.
And I went with Pacheco, who's in race number 1 at Rotorua, put in a 4th last time on the synthetic track and was a little bit green in the running when jumping in the shadow near the 300 metre mark. Have a look at this. This was just a second race day start for this horse over the 1550 metres at maiden grade, and just a little bit green with what it's doing. I think at only a 3rd race day start today. Can improve again. Was good on debut as well at Te Aroha over the 1400 metres. Love that it's stepping up to the 1950 here too, and I think it's putting it all together. Ryan Elliott to ride for the Karen Nicholson team, so best of luck to them. Let's get a summary of the best bets for the form this week. Just a little side note for you that these horses are spread across the whole weekend, horses and dogs I should say. Craig Thompson's is Friday night, Manhattan, and then as you look further down that page, Aidan Rodley is also his tip on Sunday. You've got Justin Evans there from Addington and Pip Morris as well, the Greyhounds on Sunday too from Monaco. So all of that to note down. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back with you next week.
Standing on the start line forever.